Look, I get it. You may not have a crazy recording setup worth tens of thousands of dollars in microphone chain, preamps, etc. Maybe you just have this very common Project Studio setup, right? These two guys here. Now for $500 to $600, and if you get these used, you could probably shave off $200 to $300. You can make some really professional vocals. And I'm gonna show you exactly how I would do that in this video. So let's get into it.
It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days ahead. Would you remind me of the good things we did? It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days ahead. Would you remind me of the good things we did?
All right, the first key to getting this vocal chain to sound good and inspiring for any vocalist, that might be you, that might be someone that's coming into the studio, might be a rapper you're working with. It doesn't really matter. You got this and you got the Focusrite, right? This is what we got. We're going to the Logic Pro today, and I'm going to take you there. And I've recorded and cut like a lead vocal already, but I want to talk about how we can get this sounding really great in the headphones, because if the headphone mix is great, you're going to get a better performance from you, from the artist, the rapper, whoever else. So let's just listen to what I've cut. I've done 4 takes here, and I always want to get more than 1 take because I want to be able to comp from those takes. But the big thing is getting something inspiring in the headphones. So let's hear what we got recorded, and then I'll show you how to build a very basic chain.
We were broke but laughing, plastic cups and passed down clothes, taking pictures in the kitchen like we own the whole world.
All right, now that doesn't sound that great. That sounds like a demo, and it also sounds kind of muffled, and there's dynamic problems, right? Like you're missing stuff and then things are getting loud. And that's kind of the problem with the dynamic mic going into a cheaper interface. We get these kind of issues and we don't have any color to it, right? Like the SM7B doesn't have any color. There's no distinction. It doesn't sound very unique or interesting or anything like that. It's just kind of rounded and it is what it is. And we're not doing a podcast episode, right? So we got to make these vocals sound good.
I'm living for the better days ahead. You see that 5 area, that 500 to 600 area? It starts to get really boosted with this microphone. And I think it's a part of it is just like how close you have to be to this mic and it kind of getting into your nose, etc. So we want to go in here and just tuck this down a little bit. We'll tighten up the Q, right? Hey, yeah. You hear that right there? Whoa, check. And that'll get your stuff all clipping out. That'll hit your compressors really hard and all that, and it'll just distort things. So I'm going to kind of tap that back, and let's listen to the vocal that I've recorded. We were broke but laughing, plastic cups and passed down clothes, taking pictures in the kitchen like we own the whole world. You said someday we'll miss this. I just rolled my eyes and groaned. Now I pass that old apartment.
Great. The other thing we can start to do is just give this a little bit of a sweep at the bottom. We don't need any boomy stuff, and I usually like an 18 dB slope, and I'll go up to where you have like the actual fundamental, and then I'll go under it because I do want some of that kind of subby frequency. It gives a little bit more feel in the vocal. So somewhere around 70, 80 hertz is good. Next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to throw on a compressor. And this should just be a stock compressor. I don't care about any sort of special compressor right now. I'm just building something that's going to be very easy to mix, okay? Now, I'm gonna set this so we get about 5 to 7 dB of compression on the vocal. And with the attack, I'm gonna make sure that the actual like syllables come through at first. I like it around like 40 to 60 milliseconds, somewhere around there. But we're going to listen, obviously, when we set our compressor. And I like a 2 to 1 or 3 to 1 in between there.
We were broke but laughing, plastic cups and passed down clothes, taking pictures in the kitchen like we own the whole world. You said someday we'll miss this. I just rolled my eyes and groaned. Now I pass that old apartment and it hits me on the road. I'm living for the better days ahead.
See, now we're starting to sound a little bit better, right? Like I feel like, okay, now we got a level, we got rid of some of the issues, and then we're hitting a compressor, we're kind of like bringing up the level and everything. But this is where we start to give this a completely different vibe and make it sound professional. And that's with this Sweet EQ. And the Sweet EQ is going to give me everything I need that is not there right now, okay? So we got low density, mix, lift, high. We got a calm, which can help with sibilance and anything that's too spiked up in the high mids. And then we have a pitch down here for the low end. And sometimes like the body, I like to go around like 100 to 200 in a vocal. It gives us some nice punch and some nice chest. Pushes it forward a little bit. And then you can gain it in, gain it out. You also have a cut, blend, and a hybrid function, which we'll get into as we go through this. And then also a soft clip, hard clip. And I'm going to leave it on soft clip because I think it sounds really good. But just listen to what happens as we start to mess with this. I'm going to kind of blend this back because we want to have some ability to gain up here. And we're going to mess around with the low density, the lift, and the high. That's what we're going to do to start.
We were broke but laughing. Plastic cups and passed down clothes. Taking pictures in the kitchen like we own the whole world.
Just with those two right there, it sounds like the microphone went from like an SM7B to a U47 or something. It just sounds so much more full-bodied without feeling congested. Right? I guess that's the best way to put it for me. Okay. And then I also like to use this cut function and just kind of cut up a little bit to like what I'm doing kind of with this channel EQ. We can almost just get rid of this and use the Sweet EQs filter because I think it's a little bit more musical. And I'll just kind of bring that up to 76 or so.
We were broke but laughing. Plastic cups and passed down clothes. Taking pictures in the kitchen like we own the whole world.
All right, now we need a little bit more clarity and lift. So this lift is going to give us obviously the clarity. It's sort of like a high mid. Yeah, you'll hear it. Just listen.
We were broke but laughing. Plastic cups and passed down clothes. Taking pictures in the kitchen like we own the whole world. You said someday we'll miss this. I just rolled my eyes and groaned. Now I pass that old apartment and it hits me on the road. I'm living for the better days ahead.
Incredible sounding already, right? This is a very, very basic chain too. Like just think about how many plugins we have here. Stock channel EQ, stock compressor, Sweet EQ. 3 plugins, very low CPU. This is such a great recording setup. Now there's just a couple things missing, right? Just remember, we're setting up the headphone mix right now for the vocalist to cut the best lead vocal they could possibly cut. And in this case, that's me, right? So I gotta really like the mix. Another thing you could do is mix this back if you're like, dude, that's too much, right? So dial it in, mix it back parallel, do whatever you want with this, but this is where I'm getting that kind of analog, like making up for the Focusrite preamps, let's be real. And the fact that this is a SM7B dynamic mic, not a whole lot of color to this mic. So we're kind of like now putting this like expensive tube mic into a really nice preamp sound with just this one EQ and this one plugin. Sounding phenomenal. The only last thing I want to do is throw some reverb on this, right? I think one of the best reverbs out right now in a stock reverb is this guy. This is the Quantec. And I like this yardstick. And I'll typically kind of take down the lows and the highs here. And I'll put this at like 2.5 or so, somewhere around there. Room size, maybe make it a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger. I don't know. I'm going to listen, obviously. And then I like the, we'll just blend this reverb in, right? Let's check it out.
We were broke but laughing. Plastic cups and passed down clothes. Taking pictures in the kitchen like we own the whole world.
Beautiful. And now you have a headphone mix for an artist, and it's super, super basic. Mainly stock plugins and just this one kind of secret sauce plugin using the Sweet EQ. Let's just bypass these in and out, right? Boom, before and after.
We were broke but laughing. Plastic cups and passed down clothes. Taking pictures in the kitchen like we own the whole world. You said someday we'll miss this. I just rolled my eyes and groaned. Now I pass that old apartment and it hits me on the road. I'm living for the better days ahead.
Now let's dive deeper into why your vocals just don't sound finished. They don't sound like those huge records that are on Spotify playlists and editorials. And usually it's the vocals, right? People are listening to the vocals, the lyrics, the melodies, but also the mix. If it's jarring or it sounds like a demo, it better have a really, really cool vibe and be a great song if it sounds like a demo, right? Let's get into vocal production, stacking doubles and harmonies here. So now I have the chorus stacked up. I have the lead vocal. I have this left-right double. I have a harmony harmony left, right. And then I have this one at the bottom, which I'm going to talk about because this is really, really cool with this Sweet EQ plugin and this mid-side mode that I got going on here and blending this into the sides. You're going to hear it. It's really, really cool, but we'll get into that. It's a little tip giving you this kind of, spatial stereo spread kind of effect. But let's listen to what we got here in the chorus.
It's me on the road. I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did.
Pretty much finished up with the vocal production on the chorus, but I did cut all these with the SM7 going through the Focusrite Solo Scarlett. And what we have here is the lead vocal, which right away to me, I want to sweeten up a little bit more. So I want to bring the highs up, and I probably want to just mix 100% here. And let's mess around with the low and density and find a really good spot for this to sound more in the mix.
It's me on the road. I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did.
All right, that's sounding more like a lead vocal to me now. Let's go through the doubles, harmonies, etc. So here are the doubles, and I'm going to break these down a little bit for you as well, like my approach to this, the panning, all that stuff, and why we're doing these doubles on just specific phrases. So here are the doubles with the lead.
It's me on the road. I'm living for the better days ahead. Of the good things we did.
All right, and those soloed out sound like this.
I'm living for the better days ahead. Good things we did.
Now, how do we take these vocals and make them more star power? Because right away to me, I'm hearing problems in the doubles. I'm like, they're still kind of congested, right? Like they're not shiny enough for a pop record like this. So again, I'm not going to rely on many plugins. I just want to go into the Sweet EQ and I want to mess around with some of this stuff. One thing that I'm hearing right away is I probably want to cut the low stuff out of this vocal. We don't really need all that.
I'm living for the better days ahead. I'm living for the better days ahead.
That makes the vocal much more focused to me, and it's going to sound really great as a double because we already have all the body and the punch and the mid-range and everything in the lead vocal. So I'm going to copy that Sweet EQ over, and the doubles now sound like this.
I'm living for the better days ahead. Oh, I'm living for the better days ahead.
Right, so it's a bit more of a telephone effect, and I might be able to back off just a little bit on this, just so that I open it up a little bit more. But really, it's like we don't need all this low. We don't need like a ton of that stuff going on in the doubles. We could probably get away with this being more filtered in the sides, especially as we start to introduce these guys, which are the harmonies. So here's what the harmonies sound like in the stack.
It's me on the road for the better days ahead. Living for the better days ahead.
Right, and there's me panting. I'm like, ooh, ooh. You know what I'm saying? It's because you get this microphone, you just like have it all up in your shit. You're like, yeah. It's like so weird, bro. Like gets too much, gets really intense. But again, with these harmonies, let's bring up some highs. Let's bring up some lift. Let's bring the density down, lows down, and let's also use a different mode. Let's use this blend mode. So the blend mode, we can really focus on like just the top here, right? And then we can blend it back in the mix, which is kind of a cool parallel idea here. So let's do that with just the harmonies here. So I'm going to just solo out these so we can hear these. And here are the harmonies.
Better days ahead, better days ahead.
All right, and let's really get these tightened up, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're going to go all the way up here. We're gonna just push this lift and this high, and the calm can come down as well. We really want these to be pretty bright. And then we're going to blend this back in. So we're really like focusing on processing just this area of the vocal. You could also go like really tight on the mid-range. Like if you wanted to go like, 900 to 3500, and then you could just like push this really hard and then blend it back, right? So check it out.
Better days ahead, better days ahead, better days ahead.
Yeah, I like that with the high end. That sounds really good. So let's actually process the high end more so. So maybe 3.2 up.
Better days ahead.
See how that just pops? Like that makes the SM7 sound like it has like the Sony C800 top end on it, which is really dope. So check this out. I'm going to now just option drag this Sweet EQ over because that's the one we were working on. And here's the stereo.
Better days ahead.
And you could even take the reverb on these and tweak it a little bit, right? So maybe go a little bit heavier on the reverb and give it a little bit of a pre-delay. So room size, let's make it a little bit bigger. Or even smaller. It just really depends on how you want to do this. But first reflection level is probably what we're looking for here. I'm not super familiar with the Quantec, but we're going to figure it out. All right, option drag that. And here's what we got.
Better days ahead. the better days ahead.
Sounds way more pro to me. Sounds like it's getting more shiny, the mixes. And we can unsolo these and put it into the mix here.
I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did.
Right? Nice and bright and polishy. And then last but not least, and this is the really cool one that I wanted to show you, is when you go onto a mono track, which a vocal is a mono track, and you pop on the Sweet EQ, and I put it last in the mix on the inserts because it's a mono to stereo plugin. So if I go in here, I go to the Sweet EQ, I go mono to stereo. And this is really cool because now we can flip it to mid-side mode and check out what we can do here. So I'm just going to solo this and check out as we take it into the sides. Now this is processing the sides, that's the idea.
Better days ahead. 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 Better days ahead.
That shit right there is amazing. To me, this is like, yeah, that's the sound like of like a doubler, EQ, saturation going through like a Neve 1073. But it's mid-side, really dope. Gonna give a really nice texture. What I would even do is like kind of like stack this with a harmony. So it's like better days ahead. And I do like the better days ahead. You know, do like a bunch of these and then like spread them where it's like you got the really high one way out high, you know, far, and then you like bring them all in. So you have like 1, 2, 3 kind of stacks. But, you know, again, I don't want to spend, 3 hours like cutting these, perfecting them and all that. I just want to make sure that you guys get this information on how to produce these vocals right, especially with this like $600 setup, you know? All right, so now here's what we got.
Better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did. Every stumble, every season that we grew.
So good. All right, so let me remind you where our raw vocal was at. Okay, so let's take off everything. And here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plugins with some like basic filtering EQ, basic compression, pitch correction, stock, everything stock besides the Sweet EQ, and then the QR5 giving some reverb. That's all it is. But listen, AB.
It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did. It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did.
I mean, that is a vast difference. And if I just bypass the Sweet EQ, because that's really doing the heavy lifting, let's hear that.
It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did. Every stumble, every season that we grew.
A lot of different color going on with that Sweet EQ. So now let's get into getting this even more dialed in, get it into the mix, and sweeten up our vocal mix bus. The final step in taking our $600 vocal recording setup and turning it into something that sounds 10 times the price is to hit this vocal mix bus and this master bus and start to shape the entire mix and glue everything together into the track. So let's dive right into that process. Basically, now we have a lead vocal, we have a left-right double, we have left-right harmony, and then we have this wide vocal that I showed you, that really cool effect with a Sweet EQ going into the mid-side mode and really focusing on the sides. Now, let's take all of these vocals to a vocal mix bus, which is going to be bus 2 here. And this is already set up. I already kind of routed it, right? And I have master plan on the stereo out, and I've only kind of just gained it up a little bit, 3.77 dB, but it's on True Peak and it's on Unity, so you're not going to hear gain difference yet. There is some widening going on the master plan, on the master bus, but we'll get into how we're going to shape all that after we actually shape the vocal mix bus. Let's listen first. What do we got going on?
It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did.
All right, it's starting to sound really good. It just needs a little bit more polish. It needs a little bit more tightening. It needs a little bit more sounding like a record, right? We want this to be competitive. So vocal mix bus, first thing I'm gonna do is hit it with a compressor. I think compressing all the vocals together is a big key thing to getting all the stacks to sound like one thing. right? Rather than here's the lead vocal, here's the doubles, here's the harmonies, here's the, you know, everything's kind of like coming in and out on their own. So I either like to use a VCA, like an SSL style VCA here, or I like to use like a FET. Okay. So the FET's going to have a little bit more color. The VCA is going to have a little bit more control. That's the best way you can think about it. And maybe the VCA might have a little bit more punch to it as well. But let's try it out. Let's set the ratio to, I don't know, 2-to-1, 3-to-1, somewhere around here, right? I think VCA sounds good with 2 or 2.5-to-1. I think any more than that, VCA starts to sound like it's pumping. But that's just a little tip for you. Let's start to set the release pretty quick. I'm going to say like, 10 milliseconds or so to start out. Somewhere around here. And knee is good. I think like in between a soft and a hard knee on a VCA is going to be good. Unless you're working with like drums or very transient information, which vocals can be transient, but these aren't super transient. And let's attack pretty quick. So we'll go like 20 milliseconds to start. And remember, we can always blend the knob back so we can get some parallel compression. So if we over compress, we can go and open it up. So let's start to use the threshold and get 5 to 10 dB of gain reduction on the vocal mix bus here.
It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did.
All right, and you can just hear it's getting slammed, right? So VCA is going to be slammed because the attack's super fast at 20 milliseconds. Let's switch to the FET and hear that.
It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days ahead.
Sounds a little bit more open to me. And we're going to back off the attack just a touch, and then we're going to mix it back.
It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did.
So that just sounds more like a record automatically with some compression, right? And then we're going to bring up the makeup gain to where it's sitting back in the record and it doesn't sound too quiet.
It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did.
Beautiful. I think it sounds really nice and it sounds tight and glued. And that's what I'm going for with the compressor. Next up, we are going to throw on the Sweet EQ. And the Sweet EQ, really cool thing to do with the Sweet EQ is to click on the stereo mix, go to mid-side mode on this, and we can mess around with just working on the sides or, just a little bit of the sides, a little bit, take the mids down. This is really going to help us balance that stereo imaging. And we're going to use lift and high mainly, maybe some density, but already the vocals feel pretty dense. And when we're talking about dense, we're talking about like the mids, the 300 to 800 kind of area just gets like pushed forward. And that can get almost like too much with an SM7. So let's start to lift and high on this in mid side. And we're going to shape the mids and the sides.
It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did.
Let's punch up a little bit of the low end here. And I like going down to like 100-ish area and punching that up in the vocals. It just kind of gives them this like, ooh, this like body feel. Because a lot of the times there's not a whole lot of 100 in a vocal, but you can kind of get that subharmonic kind of, not subharmonic, but it's like a harmonic of the fundamental that might be up at like 220 or something. Sounds really rich. So let's do that.
It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did.
Now you're not going to get that like widening effect when you do this in mid-side on the Sweet EQ because we're on a stereo mix bus, right? So what you're really doing is you're kind of hearing it a little bit like, almost like it's mono, right? You're just shaping the frequencies. So like if I bring up the mid, listen to what happens with that lead vocal.
It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did.
So what we're effectively doing is whatever's hitting the stereo, the sides, the left and right, which are going to be these panned vocals, right? Left, right. You're effectively processing those more with the lift high and the low when you turn up the side, and you're doing less in the mid when you take the mid down, which effectively kind of makes the vocal shape happen, right? Like you're either going to get like this like very sides are up and then the middle comes down, or you get like that, right? And what I'm looking for is a good balance of like the middle vocal, the lead vocal, and the supporting harmonics and doubles and stuff, right? So it's just one thing. And the last thing I want to do, this is like incredible, right? So let's bypass this in and out first just to hear the difference.
It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days days ahead. It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days ahead.
Just kind of makes the vocals feel more star power, right? A little bit saturated and interesting and texturized, pop forward a little bit. And that's exactly what I want out of this. Last thing I'm going to use is the Vintage Console EQ, stock plugin in Logic Pro. You don't need anything else to do this. I'm just going to use this to cut, because sometimes what ends up building up is this mid-range, right? The 500 to 800-ish, right? So that's what we're going to look for, and we're going to pin that out just a touch, and I'm going to show you what that sounds like, because we want to smooth it out so all the vocals kind of stay in the pocket in the mix.
It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did.
And that's literally all you need there, right? You could use a graphic EQ built in, whatever. Just tuck back that mid-range area, because it starts to feel like it's punching forward and then it's coming back and then punching forward, right? All right, now let's adjust the master bus on master plan, and I think we're gonna be in a really, really good spot. So I have this on Unity at first, so I bring up the loudness basically until I start hearing it kind of distort and break up.
It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did. Every stumble, every season that we grew. Yeah, life always comes.
Right? And then I can adjust my doubles and my stacks and harmonies and stuff going to that bus. So I'm just going to pull those down a little bit more, because I like my lead vocal to be pretty forward, right? But this is all up to you, your taste. You can balance your mix however you like.
It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did.
All right, and then on the master plan or your master bus processing, whatever you're using, I highly recommend this plugin because it's very affordable and it just sounds really, really, really good really quickly, right? Just a few little tweaks and you're like there. So this has a multi-band compressor on it, and I'm just going to compress the mid-range just a touch so we can get the vocals to tuck a little bit more.
It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did. Every stumble, every season that we grew. Yeah, life always comes full blue. It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did. Every stumble, every season that we grew.
And there you have it. There you have it. Like, that's miles different. You don't understand this until I bypass this, okay? So let's bypass all the plugins and true AB.
It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did. It's me on the road, I'm living for the better days ahead. But you remind me of the good things we did. Every stumble, every season that we grew.
That is the Sweet EQ with some stock plugins and master plan on the master bus. And you can hear the $600 setup becomes a much more expensive sounding thing. Before it's flat, after it's like three-dimensional, it's got the saturation, the fullness, thickness, everything comes forward, vocals are pronounced. And I hope you guys got a lot out of this video. I'll leave links in the description to what I used in this video, the Sweet EQ, the master plan. Everything else is stock. So whatever, if you got Pro Tools, Ableton, FL Studio, Logic Pro, use stock plugins, throw Sweet EQ into your arsenal and make your setup sound much, much better, much more expensive. And let me know if you guys have any questions at all about vocal production, mixing, mastering, or any videos you want to see next. Just drop them in the comments. And if you like the video, you know what to do. I'll see you guys next time.